Global Business Report on Rise News. Talk about the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Market was down by 0.09% yesterday. 25,582 points is where the all-share index closed. Market caps at 13.35 trillion naira. We're going to be talking to OLAMIDE ADEBOBOYE of ARM, a consumer research analyst, to take us through events of the markets and also get into some fixed income as well. Good morning to you, OLAMIDE. So how's the terrain for the Nigerian Stock Exchange?
Hi, Rotos, good morning. For Nigerian Stock Exchange, basically, we've seen some gains in the past. Over the last 7 weeks, we've actually recorded some gains in the markets. And that's largely what you've seen is we've seen a bit of profit taking. We've seen people also coming in to pick up some of those names that are basically seen as undervalued. So relative to when COVID was really out there, where everyone was really, there was so much uncertainty, you saw significant sell-offs. What you're seeing right now is you're finding some of the investors coming to pick certain names, stocks that we literally see as undervalued already, that they've been really beaten. And it's not new, because if you look across board, looking at global markets, look at the likes of the S&P and the Dow index, you would also see that same trend is happening across board, where the technology names that have been seen as the safe haven when the COVID was really out there, a lot of people are basically taking profits at the moment, and what you find is they are gradually, picking all of these names that were really sold off for the period, because they are largely seen as undervalued at the moment. So I think that's what you're finding right now. Some investors will just pick up these names that are seen as undervalued, and then for the stocks that they saw as safe haven in the time past, you literally see those stocks have maybe remained flat or a little bit of profit-taking activities. That's what you find in the markets.
Great. So I just spoke to the president of the Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria. We're focusing on the financials, the financial sector. I'm going to take a guess, Olamide, that if I was to ask you one of the drivers of those, as far as profit-taking is concerned and the undervalued stocks, that financial services will come up. Am I correct?
Oh, yes. Financial services will definitely come up. I mean, looking at the recent policies that have even happened, most recent being the fact that they've had to reduce the rates on the deposit, so 1.25%. That is really positive for them. So, I mean, you see some interest in that stock. You would also see some people that bought earlier when the price was very low, they would have tried to take profits. But yes, financial services will be a part of those stocks moving the market.
Excellent. Thanks for mentioning the reduction in the savings. I think that's for the banks is their net interest margins. That's where they're going to get that support. Yeah. What other sectors can we look at? Consumer goods, perhaps?
Yeah, we can look at consumer goods. But if you look at what has happened so far for the consumer names, you've not really seen so much interest, and it's not far-fetched. You could go across each subsector to see what has happened there. Starting with the food producers, you see that the currency devaluation definitely affected some of them, over Q2, and will probably, play out over the rest of the year. Some of them are also strained in terms of how they're able to sell. Consumer wallets, like we've always said, remain depressed. Aside from that, things really got expensive, transportation, all of these things, and a lot of these consumers are unable to pass on the prices to final consumers. So what you will find is, in terms of looking out for catalysts for most of the companies this year, you do not find them go. You can also go over to the brewery space. Aside the competition that has been a problem for them, in the past few years, the lockdown that happened over Q2, you saw that actually affect their performance, where they saw significant declines, in earnings, and you saw a lot of sell-off, at that space. And I mean, you can go on the staples. They literally had similar experience over the period. But what you find right now is, look at names like Nestle. They've literally remained stable for a while because a lot of investors are not seeing new catalysts. As a matter of fact, you're probably expecting that over the next few quarters, the Naira devaluation would definitely affect them in terms of their costs. Some of them, the goods that they import are also experiencing pressures. Prices of some of these raw materials are also increasing because some of the producers are unable to produce, outside the country and all of that. So as far as that space is concerned, you definitely see that pressure continue. So you're not seeing so much activity there. You can mention a lot of them, but recently you will definitely see a bit of interest in the brewery space. We released a report recently saying at least Guinness is, undervalued at the moment. It's been really beaten, I mean, yes, understandably because of the market issues, but right now we're thinking that you could, maybe see a bit of value at that space, being that they've also tried to reduce their lager beer, which has been a problem for them and all. But for the consumer space, you won't see so much activities there. You'll be more of the financial services. That's what you'd have seen. Financial services, the oil and gas, you might start seeing a bit of interest in that space, being that crude oil prices have remained stable. There's a possibility for the global crude market to actually go into deficit going into Q4. So you could see crude oil prices, start to retrace, and then the fact that it's looking like the deregulation we've heard about is for real this time around, then you could actually see, some interest in that space too, where people start to pick up some good names, before all of this price fixing, PMS price fixing, basically. So yeah, that's what has happened so far and what you might see going forward.
All right, Olamide, I wanted to get into your fixed income. We'll have to do that next time. I have to bring you back. Thank you so much for giving us your overview of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Olamide ADEBOBOYE of ARM, Consumer Research Analyst. Thank you so much for your insights.